Hi everybody, how you doing today? What I have here is a bag of groceries, and I'm going to share with you all the nutritional things you need to eat to be able to restore tools. Just kidding. Inside the bag I have a bunch of cool items I found at an estate sale. I'm going to share that with you today, as well as 2 items I picked up at a garage sale. Hope you enjoy. The first thing I'm going to share with you here is something I picked up at a garage sale. Older gentleman, was retiring, selling all his tools, selling everything basically in his house, and moving into a condo. He had a really nice router table. We just couldn't meet on a price. He wanted 100. I said I wanted to pay 60. We wanted 80. I didn't need it enough to go to the 80 right now on it. But I did pick this up here for 10 bucks. Couple of oil cans, pretty nice ones. Eagle, made in the USA. I always liked old oil cans. I just never got into them. And then recently, when I bought the transmission fluid recently, I wanted to put it in something and I didn't have something. So over this weekend, I ended up picking up a bunch of oil cans. And here's 2 of them. This one here looks like an 8-ounce one. It doesn't have any markings except that it says made in the USA. It looks like it used to have something on it here, some sort of label, no longer there, but in really good shape. I guess oil cans don't rust out, so there's probably plenty of them out there to get. Some of them I know are collectible, especially the Eagle and some of the older ones. But this was my favorite thing that I got, and I basically paid $5 for it. It's a Super Ratchet by Williams, really nice, made in the USA. Nice knurling. I did have to hit it on the wire wheel real quick when I got home just because it had some rust on here, and I didn't want it to continue to rust, and I wanted to get that off. See, oh, it was actually right there, so I'll hit it a little bit more. I just got the heavy stuff off, and I'm soaking it with a little WD-40 to prevent the rust. But listen to the tooth count on this. It's 72 tooth. Look how fine tooth that is. I couldn't believe it for a ratchet this age. To feel like it's a 72 tooth. So that's a Williams B52. So $10 for the 2 oil cans and the ratchet. Now let's jump into the bag of goodies. So everything in the bag, plus what you see here, I paid about 30, maybe 35. I can't remember exactly. I'm not going to go through the bag yet just because I want to get these items out of the way. I didn't have them thrown into the bag just because I didn't want the oil to spill all over and make a mess. So here's a couple of more oil cans. Like I said, I went from 0 to 60 here. I had none to start the week, and I ended up with about 8 of them by the end of this weekend. So this one here is a double A. Never heard of that. USA, New Haven, Connecticut. These I'm seeing just from checking online aren't as valuable. They just work on gravity. Nice condition though. I like that as a different color. But probably be a good one to put the transmission fluid in since it's red. This is an Eagle pump, as you can see from the top. I know these are definitely more desirable. This is the 8-ounce size, I believe. Not a ton of markings on it. Probably had something there at some point. Works great, and it's half full of oil. So pretty cool. I didn't throw this in the box because I didn't want it to get all beat up. It is a little dirty, but it's a Stanley Pocket Guide from 2001. I guess people that collect Stanley tools, they make guides. I just thought it was really cool nostalgia, and it was laying around. And this guy that had the estate sale where his house was at had a lot of collectible tools. So pretty cool. I thought it'd be cool just to kind of have it laying around the shop as some decor or something. But I did take a look online, and they're actually getting about 10 to 15 bucks for these. Pretty in that condition. I was shocked. Another neat item I found, and really just more to have around the shop once again, and to be a piece of memorabilia or just some decor, is this old 5 valve caps. So tire valve caps, Schrader, guaranteed airtight. And look at the back of that. I don't know if you can see that. How cool is that? It's really small. It's hard to read, but it's from Brooklyn, New York, made in the USA. I mean, that is just cool. And there's actually a couple of old tire caps in there. Okay, let's jump into our bag full of healthy tools. First item up, Craftsman, made in the USA. And that is a 22-inch wood clamp. If you've seen some of my other videos, I've been picking these up a lot lately. Looking forward to doing some woodworking here in the near future, but that's got some nice quality to it. Next item up is really cool. This might be one of my favorite items in here. This is, I'm assuming SK or Craftsman. I can't figure it out. What a unique design on that, huh? And what quality metal. I can't even tell you how strong the gauge of this steel is. They don't make stuff like that anymore. It does have a bunch of Craftsman older style sockets in it, but I'm not 100% sure if this is a Craftsman case. It has the green to it. It's got some sockets in it that don't have markings. I don't know if those are... Oh, they almost have a snap-on look to them, but they look definitely old. I'm going to restore this for sure. Maybe make it something modern. Maybe I can put some newer sockets in it, make it a metric set, because most of these old ones obviously are all standard. So that is a cool find. I'm really happy about that. Always grab WD-40 when I can find it, but a half a can there. Use that for all my tools. Stuff's about $5 when you can find them for at a yard sale for basically nothing. Go ahead. Here you got some sanding sheets, sandpaper. They go right into the palm sanders. 25 sheets there. This I'm going to get out of the way. She's heavy. This here is a Simplex Utility Vise number 300. Don't know much about it. It's got, looks like a pipe claw in there. What I liked about it is it seems straight. Usually when you see these are bent up, that means somebody was really wailing on it, leaning on it. I like that it's got the nice heavy piece there. I don't know what you would call that, but it looks very sturdy and it's very heavy. So it's made out of some good quality steel. It says Desmond Stephen Company. It's missing this little piece here that is like the handle to break it free, so it swivels. So I'll have to make something for that, but this will be a restoration. I'm definitely gonna restore this and make a video on restoring it, but it seems like it works well. Everything in there seemed pretty good. The top here, this little anvil piece is not all beat up, but that'll be fun to restore. I got to get this in something pretty quick. It does got a little bit of rust on it, but nothing I shouldn't be able to take down between my belt sander and flap disc and wire wheel and everything else. Next up, like reaching in Christmas morning into your stocking. Next up is a box full of wrenches, and there's some nice wrenches in here. I didn't have a chance to go through it in too much detail at the estate sale, but when I got home I was able to look at it. It had a lot of metric in it, which is pretty cool. So open end wrenches, some junk. You got a lot of Olympia, this is junk. How about this, a snap-on 1/2 inch 9/16, older style ratcheting wrench. Seems like it works really well. Hopefully I could flip this on eBay, maybe get $20 for it and pay for half of my stuff here. Some more junk. NASA, made in the USA. I'm not familiar with the NASA brand of tools, but that's a 7/16 3/8 ratcheting wrench. Craftsman 7/16. Oh, an old Herbrand for Dano. Dano loves his Herbrand. Hope you're watching, Dano. 13mm. This is Japan, and you'll see these. They're from the late 70s and 80s. Craftsman at that point, when they were trying to make some of the cheaper sets, they used Japan-made wrenches. Nowadays, obviously, everything's made in China, but there was a time that they made stuff in Japan, and believe it or not, the quality on these are pretty good. They're way better than what you would find today with Chinese wrenches. They're neat to have. If you're a Craftsman collector, it goes and it tells a period of time of the wrenches. So I have a set of each of those somewhere in my collection. So it's nice to have a couple extras on those. You don't see those too often. Just the 7mm, 9mm, 10mm. I love when you get 10s and 11s. They're the most common. What is this? This is a big old Craftsman ratcheting wrench, 12 and 13 millimeter. And it's got plastic on the side. Talk about going back in time. Obviously, it's made in the USA. It's old. I don't know if there's any value to this. I mean, nowadays, the way Gear Wrench makes stuff. I mean, the Snap-on one was you could just feel the difference in the quality between the Snap-on one and this one here. It's got plastic on it. I mean, junky. So, I don't know. Who knows, though? You never know until you look this stuff up. Maybe it has some value on it. It doesn't have really any value to me, but I am somewhat of a Craftsman collector, so maybe I'll save it. 12 mil, 13 mil. Here's a nice find, right? An old oiler. They call it the oiler. Yeah, it just uses a little oil in there, and it needs a little oil. It's kind of locked up. Has the nice selector switch, all steel. I think these go back to the 60s, the oiler models, the mid to late 60s. V-Series, obviously, made in the USA. Nice 3/8 ratchet. I'll have a bunch of those. Who knows? I'll probably keep it. If I don't need it, I'll flip it. This is awesome, and I'll tell you why this is awesome. This is a Gear Wrench 12 millimeter, and if you guys remember, I picked up a couple of sets of Gear Wrench a few weeks ago at a garage sale, and I was missing a 12 millimeter. And wouldn't you know, here's a 12 millimeter Gear Wrench, and this one's even nicer because it's got the reversible selector switch. Nice. Hopefully it'll fit in nicely into that case, into that set. 9/16. That is a USA made. Thought maybe it was another Japan. Oh, beautiful. Gear Wrench 10 millimeter. The most popular size, worth its weight in gold, with a reversible selector switch. Wow, this is going to go right to the front of my wrench drawer and will be used all the time. Nice older Gear Wrench too. You can feel the quality on the older ones. They were a little thinner than the new ones. I looked at some newer ones recently, and they're so thick that they won't even fit into the slot of the older blow molded cases because they're using inferior Chinese steel. This is not USA, but it is Taiwan, and it was made much better. Wow, this alone is probably a $20 wrench, maybe a $25 wrench. 10 millimeters are worth a lot of money. NASA 7/16. Ooh, a 6-point. I love 6 points. And it's got a little bit of that hex shape to it like Snap-on has. I got to learn more about NASA tools. I don't know much about them. Probably use them in space, just kidding. Oh, look at that. A nice Husky, 1/2 inch. Doesn't have a selector switch, but I got a ton of 1/2 inch Gear Wrench, but that's nice. Let's see. And the rest, just a couple midget wrenches, some junk, an old Blue Point wrench, just some old open end wrenches. So let me clean this up, and then we'll take a look at some more. Okay, let's keep pulling out some treats here out of our stocking. Craftsman, can't go wrong with this. This is a 3/8 drive V-Series, original V, just one V on that. Very nice. You could just tell the difference too on the anvils on these. I don't know if that's called an anvil, but this piece here where the socket goes on is all steel. The new ones are kind of black. That's one of the noticeable differences between some of the more modern ones I have. I have some brand new ones I picked up at a estate sale not too long ago. I could sell that probably and keep the old really heavy quality one. This is a oiler as well, 1/2 inch drive, nice selector switch on it. It's missing the ring though that holds it in, so I have to pick up a little ring. See if I could get one that sees it. Works fine. I just need to get that in there or it's going to fall out. So this is an old V-Series. Like I said, these date back to mid to late 60s. All right, and the last couple of goodies. And like I mentioned, I am excited for the winter for restoring tools. There's not going to be a lot of yard sales, estate sales, garage sales, which I like to do so much. There might be a few here and there on the estate sale side, but I want to spend some time restoring and cleaning up some tools. So I've been on the hunt lately to find a lot of old quality tools that I can restore. And if you saw my video the other day, I had some Snap-on in there and Matco, channel locks that I'm going to be restoring. So I'm building up some good inventory for tools that I can make videos on, restoring. This here is a Klein. I don't know if you could see that, but that is a nice old Klein and Sons, Chicago, USA. The back says Bell Systems, so I'm assuming these maybe were for the phone company. They have a date code inside of them. I had a chance to take a quick look. So this one is MIK. And if I remember correctly, it's roughly the 50s. The M means you associate with a number. I want to say that was early 50s, this one. I want to restore this one. My only concern is there's a little bit of chip in this here. I can see a little bit of daylight through those two cutters. I tried it. It cuts pretty well. I'm hoping I could clean that up with a nice Swiss file. And I would love to make these back to new, get a nice coat of Klein grips, put it on it. So stay tuned for that video. This one is a Klein as well. And this is a needle nose pliers, probably of the 7-inch variety. This was an 8.5-inch linesman. I mean, just look at the quality of this. And look at this. This doesn't even have a date code. This goes back to when they put the dates right in them. Can't find it right now. But when I was looking at it before, it was in there. I want to say it was it's around the same time period. This here is a nice old Craftsman. Look at the old tape on it. You could tell at one point it probably had a really nice shiny finish to it. My goal is to get this to a nice satin finish. And then I'll figure out what I want to do with the grips on this after I clean it up. If I like it just clean. I did pick up a can of plastic dip not too long ago, and I know the Craftsman's had black handles in like the 70s and so forth. So maybe I'll make it look like that. But the teeth look really good on it, so there'll be a restore job on that. This is another Klein needle nose. Cutters look really good on this, nice and crisp. Just some rust on here. I'm going to get these in some WD-40 even prior to me doing my restoration on it. So get a load of this. 1926. So Klein started using date codes that you could look up online, and I think it was like in the 50s. But when you start getting the really old ones, they just had the month and the year, and you can't really see that on here, so I'm not even going to bother. But it says 426 in there. Maybe you can see it. 426. So that means April 1926. How cool would it be to restore these? Teeth look pretty nice on it. Got a little bit of rust in there. Looking forward to seeing what those look like when they're cleaned up. And here is another Klein & Sons, Chicago, USA. Little pair of wire snips, dikes, whatever you want to call them. And this is from April 1933. So some really nice old vintage tools. I can't wait to get these cleaned up and shined up, and hopefully I don't mess them up. Not too familiar with using the belt sander yet. I'll probably do some of my less desirable tools to practice on before I do those, but stay tuned for those. And I hope you enjoyed the video so far, and I hope you enjoy me restoring those tools. Well, thanks for joining today. Everything you see here I paid $45 for. I think I paid $35 at the estate sale, and then I spent $10 at the garage sale. I did have a chance to check out a couple of things. That snap-on wrench there that I'm hoping to sell, get some of my money back. They're getting about $15, $20 for that. I did look up a couple of these items just because I was curious. Like I said, the gear wrench, 10mm, I'm keeping that, but that's a good $20+ wrench. So excited to do some restoration videos for you guys. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe so when I make them, you'll get the alert that I made them. That's what I'll be doing this winter. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with this socket set. Probably redo the case and maybe update it with some modern sockets and modern ratchets. So I'll take one last look here. Please like and subscribe. I did look up this Vise just to see if it's worth anything. They're getting about $50 for them when they're in serviceable condition, meaning if I just broke this down, oiled it up, and put it back together, it's worth about $50. Once you restore them, they start getting up around $100+. I really like it. It's a 3-inch. Hopefully it'll come out nice. And you know me, I love my little tins, so I'll throw a little bit of a toolbox liner in there, clean that up, wipe it down with a little oil or WD-40 so it doesn't rust, and I'll use that to store some wrenches. Because I got tons of them, and I could sort them and maybe use that for just metric wrenches. It would probably hold up to 3/4 of an inch. So thanks for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day.